President Donald Trump is lashing out at Russian President Vladimir Putin as Russia steps up its attacks on Ukraine. Trump says the leader has gone, quote, absolutely crazy. Scripps News White House correspondent Haley Bull is live for us now with the latest. And Haley, this is a different tone, perhaps, for President Trump to take towards Putin. Why are we seeing these changes now?
Yeah, it certainly is, Andrew. And just earlier today, President Trump accusing Russian President Vladimir Putin of playing with fire, marking some of his most critical language towards the Russian leader to date. Trump notably in a Truth Social post directed his frustration solely to Putin and writing, quote, what Vladimir Putin doesn't realize is that if it weren't for me, lots of really bad things would have already happened to Russia. And I mean really bad. He's playing with fire. Now, this ratcheting up of language comes a week after Trump held a phone call with Putin in which he maintained he believed Putin wanted to see the war end. But after over the weekend, he called the Russian leader crazy as Russia continued its bombardment of strikes towards Ukraine. The Kremlin chalking up the comments to what they called, quote, emotional overload. Now, Trump's comments over the weekend acknowledged that perhaps Putin does want all of Ukraine, saying it would, quote, lead to the downfall of Russia, but also criticized Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's language. Zelensky has called for more pressure on Russia absent their movement towards a ceasefire. And Trump doubled down on sharing that apparent sense of frustration to reporters on Monday. Listen.
I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay? We're in the middle of talking, and he's shooting rockets into Kiev and other cities. I don't like it at all.
Now, the question, Andrew, is whether this frustration translates to action out of the White House. The White House indicating that all options are on the table. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt telling Scripps News in a statement, quote, this war is Joe Biden's fault. And President Trump has been clear he wants to see a negotiated peace deal. President Trump has also smartly kept all options on the table. Now, Trump said on Monday he is, quote, absolutely considering sanctions, something he has floated for some time but hasn't moved forward with and acting on as the administration has tried to engage with Russia. Meanwhile, over in Congress, a Senate bill that would impose sanctions absent Russia's participation in good faith negotiations has now picked up more than 80 co-sponsors, nearly half of them Republican, Andrew. And just last week, when Scripps pressed President Trump if Putin proved to be the obstacle to peace, if further aid for Ukraine would be on the table at that point, Trump said, quote, we'll look. So certainly a markedly different tone towards Putin today, solely at Putin, which is notable as we see how this administration is approaching Russia's war in Ukraine, Andrew.
All right, could be a big week between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Scripps News White House correspondent Haley Bull. Haley, thank you for that update.